Here's how I made a Tallarn Endurant for Kill Team. Recently, a maker named Orchitect sent me some really cool space hulky terrain files, and while all that is printing, I'm going to need a cool team to use. If you want to check the terrain out, there's a link in the description. Also, let me know if you'd like to see a video of how I go about printing and painting it, and what it looks like on the table. As always, the first step is to brainstorm. The Endurant has a shield and a shotgun, so it's pretty important that I add those. This is the image I drew and will go off of. And before you say it, yes, I have gotten better at drawing, and I thank you for noticing. The Kitbash is made using a bunch of Maker's Cult files and a Reptilian Overlord's torso. I made a visor in Blender by using a bunch of cylinders and insetting the very front face to make a lens. The legs are from the Dark Techno Rover set. The shield arm is from the Cyberzerker Jotun set. And the shotgun arm was made by cutting off the stock of a Feudal Guard Militia lasgun arm and adding the shotgun barrel from the Feudal Guard upgrade set. I used cuts with the box Boolean difference to cut off the lasgun barrel and separated by loose parts to separate the shotgun barrel from the stock. I still don't really know how to separate the hand from the lasgun arm, so if you guys have any advice, I'd love to hear. That's it for the Kitbash. Now on to painting. As always, I start with the zenithal highlight. I base the mini in black and then with my airbrush, spray from above. You can just dry brush with white if you don't have an airbrush to get a similar effect. I also sprayed up from below with the red ink to make the shadows warmer. The main color is German beige. I thinned the paint down with water into a glaze and applied it to the shield, his armor, and all of the cloth. The wrap around his waist will be yellow later, but this is a good base layer for it. The big pouches and straps on his backpack were Rakarth flesh, and the 3 pouches were flat brown. I tried to keep the paints at a glaze consistency for this, so the zenithal highlight would show through. I continued with flat brown and painted any straps and pouches. His glove was painted with a 50-50 mix of flat brown and model color buff. Next, with Averland Sunset, I went over the wrap around his waist, his eye lens, and the wire next to his head. The wooden parts of the shotgun were painted with burnt umber. Next, I painted all the wires with black, as well as made little hazard marks on the cable that was painted yellow. Lastly, I picked out any metal with metal color, copper, or steel. Next, I'm going to apply an oil wash. It's a smart idea to have multiple things ready for washing, since it's a little bit of a hassle mixing. I mixed a pipette full of mineral spirits with a 2-to-1 ratio of black and brown ink. I made my wash pretty subtle, but you can strengthen the effect if you let the wash sit there for longer before wiping away excess. I let that dry overnight. Next, it was time to highlight everything. I did so by mixing the base color with either white or model color buff. I also wasn't a big fan of the light shoulder pads, so I painted over them with burnt umber. I also added a stripe with white. I highlighted all the metal with silver. The shield is a focal point of the model, so I thought it would be nice to spend a little extra time on it. I used Agrax Earthshade to darken the deep points and to create streaks coming down from a few of the holes. I also made little scratches and dots with German beige mixed with white. I then carefully made lines above the scratches with black to emphasize the cracks. Now, time to add decals. I really should have done this before the oil washing step, but that's okay. I cut out these little numbers out of the transfer sheet, put the newly cut out transfer in a little cup of water for about a minute, slid the transfer off the backing, and placed it on his shoulder pad. You have a little wiggle room with placement at this point. You can also help hide edges of the transfer by brushing on a little microsol. This softens the decal and really makes it form to the surface underneath. I also applied a checkerboard pattern onto the shield to add a little pizzazz. Next, I pen aligned with Nuln oil. This helps strengthen the separation between parts of the model. Lastly, I applied a pigment powder and a matte varnish. And I was done. I hope you enjoyed. Also, I made a buy me a coffee. I don't drink coffee or anything, but minis are about as addicting as it. No pressure. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. Leave any questions or feedback in the comments below. Alright, bye-bye.